Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Comix Rant. My name is Arvin Bautista. I am an animator by trade, and I work primarily in video games. Except currently I'm not working at all because I'm in between jobs. So in the meantime, I figured I would set up this channel as a way for me to show my process, promote some of my stuff, and I think just to kind of get stuff out of my head. And apologies for my lack of a haircut and probably bad sound until I can figure out a way to set it up correctly. Anyway, so for today, I am just drawing, or going to try to finish off this animation that I was doing. Oh, by the way, so I'm working on an animation right now, but for the most part, I don't think I'll have a ton of animation on this site. Maybe every now and then, because I'm working on some stuff for my reel, my demo reel, as I look for jobs and so on, and kind of just beef up some animation skills that I haven't really stretched in a long time. But for the most part, it's me ranting, probably about comics. I love comics. I'm trying to get my own my own series done. It's called Bomb Squad. I have 3 issues already. It's on sale at Ka-Blam. I'll have a link probably after this, or in the notes on the bottom that you could go to if you wanted to buy an issue. So I have 3, and the plan was to have 4. And it's kind of hard to get going, especially when you're working. And fortunately, now I'm not working, so I can actually get that thing done. Anyway, so for this one, this is actually not the comic, but it's a comic book character that I made when I was younger, and he's called Gunman. So I'm just trying to finish off the first part of this animation, and this is the bulk of it. So the first part of this animation is a little fast for me, and it's a shot of his eyes, and then his helmet comes down, and then he does this like crazy spin thing and shoots, make it look all cool. But currently I don't have enough frames for that first part, so here's what I have going on. So he does a little spin, and then he shoots. I'm just trying to fix this first part. So this is actually just the middle part, if anything. And we're going to do this part. So I'm animating this with Procreate, which is probably not the program to use when you want to animate something. But I'm broke. This is $10, and I've had it from before, so I figured I'd just use it. It's not bad. I mean, it's good if you're just animating straight on, and it'd be like just old school. There's no layers as easily as I'd like them to be, the way it works. Like, it's hard to do a background layer and then animate on top of it, because the way ProMotion handles its animation is that it will just go through all your layers as a frame. So you can't have a stationary layer in the back and then have it go through just a select number of layers. Maybe it does. I haven't figured it out. Or maybe it's a feature that they're working on. But I do like Procreate just because it's great. Like, the brushes in it are really awesome, and it's just so easy for me to sit down and draw. And I'm a 3D animator, so it's been a while since I've actually done any kind of traditional animation. And it's just a lot of fun. Like, I can sit on a couch, and while my wife's watching TV, I can animate this thing, or maybe making breakfast for my kids, and I'll chip in a few minutes in between preparing stuff for them, and just do cleanups or anything like that. Anyway, so what I have now is I am trying to make this helmet come down slowly. So it looks like this. Also, this is probably going to be weird because, as a very awesome and famous animator said, animation is concentration. So it's going to be weird for me to constantly talk while I'm doing work. But maybe that's for the best. You don't have to hear me all the time. So he'll probably look at my animation and go, well, that's why it's horrible. Because you're talking while you're animating. By the way, if you like self-deprecating humor, this is the channel for you. Okay, let's get this going. So I have a frame with just his eyeballs, and I made a frame with his helmet because I'm just animating his helmet coming down. In my layers, it's right here. I'm just duplicating this empty helmet and hopefully duplicating this eyeball. So let's turn that off because it'll get me confused. Alongside the helmet coming down. So right now I have it here, and I want it in between from there to there. Okay. So I have the magnetics on here, so I can kind of just slide it up and down as nicely as possible. Okay, so there. Oops. So I'm just kind of doing this by hand. It's probably not like a true blue in between these frames, but not bad. What I can do is turn this on. Oh, no. Okay, so already I'm just going to trace it because it's just got to be that old school where I don't feel like erasing all that stuff when I merge the layers. So ProMotion has this great bunch of brushes where well, like I said, I like comic books, and I like that I can feather things really easily with this program. And I like this, what is this brush that I'm using? It's called Ink Bleed. I just like it kind of, it's got this grit, and I kind of like it a lot. So if you see some of my stuff on my website or drawings that I've done recently, I use this brush a lot if it's digital. If it's traditional, it's got its own grit. So, and I use Sumi brushes for the traditional stuff. Just cheap ones too. I mean, not super cheap. I think I got some from Daiso, which is like this dollar store place, and they were okay, but they were the best. I mean, you get what you pay for, but you don't have to get the most expensive stuff to get things going. And Daiso certainly just gets me going. Okay. So that's that frame. Okay, I also have this habit of always playing things too soon, instead of drawing more frames to figure out if it's good or not. And I end up playing too many frames or watching it Oh, I'm doing that thing where I can't concentrate on two things at the same time. Okay. So now I'm going to add another frame just to smooth it out a little bit right before it lands there. Okay, and from here, I'm just going to trace eyeballs. Yeah, so Procreate has a nice onion skin feature. Let's move it up here so I can actually see it. And you can see right through. Oh, it's the wrong one. No, that's right. You can see right through the frame, so you can just trace it. So even though my layers might not be the way I want them to behave, like I just want it to show up and I just want to translate the frame on top, so I don't have to keep doing it. This is actually not bad, because I don't mind drawing things over and over. Fortunately, I'm an animator, so that's a good thing. But it also gives my animation a certain look, a certain quality. Sometimes you don't want that to be the look, but in this case, since it is Gunman, I do want it to be that look. There's definitely other programs out there that I have been recommended that handle it much, much better with the layer stuff. But like I said, I don't have them, and I don't have the money to buy them now. Okay, fortunately this is just tracing, and I can actually talk while I'm tracing. Anyhow, I have been a comic book fan since I was young, and I think the first comics that I must have read, I can't quite even remember because that's just how it's been. I've been reading comics for ages, and my memory is horrible. The first character I think I liked was Superman, and I still do. I'm a DC fan, so I guess we should just get that out of the way so all the Marvel fans can leave. I'm just kidding. So this channel that I'm trying to do here, is not going to be about ragging on things or getting angry at people's takes on certain things, especially comics, right? Like I'm just not into that. Sorry, that's the garage door. I'm just not into that. I'd rather take my energy and celebrate the things that I like, right? Like, it's too much energy to maintain hate. It's too much, and there's more than enough hate right now, so I don't want to be that guy. So yes, I'm a DC fan, but that doesn't mean I'm out to hate on everything that's Marvel. I read a bunch of Marvel stuff too. Who did not, right? Definitely in the 90s when the image creators were on there. I read a lot of that. Mark Silvestri, you got Jim Lee, of course, who's still drawing like a beast, by the way. Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, just all those guys. Will Portasio, of course. I'm Filipino. He's Filipino, so there's always that. Ooh, he's Filipino. Let's follow that guy because he's awesome, and he is awesome. I met him at WonderCon once. Oh no, sorry, it's not WonderCon anymore. It's a San Francisco con. So WonderCon has left San Francisco and it's gone to Anaheim. But I met him there, and I met him, and I met Eric Larson, and that was like the best the best. Just to see your heroes be there. And I was selling Bomb Squad. I was on my 3rd issue, so I took a copy and I was like, hey, you know, I just wanted to meet you, a big fan, want to give you a copy of my book. And both of them, Eric Larson and Wills, were so encouraging and just happy. You know, I was happy to see them. I felt bad if I geeked out on them. You know, Eric Larson has been doing this stuff for ages, and you know, whether you like his work or not, his work ethic is amazing. Amazing. He's been doing it for longer than I've been working professionally, and it's his character from when, you know, that he made when he was a kid, and he just kind of has grown it into this giant story, this giant IP. It's awesome, and he was the nicest guy. I handed him a copy of my book, and I said, like, hey, can I get your autograph? And he's like, no, can I get yours? And he said, let's trade. So he gave me a copy of his book. He signed it. And then I gave him a copy of my book, and I signed it. He made me sign it. Who am I to give a copy of my book to Eric Larson, right? And Wills was the same. He didn't have a comic, but he said he wanted me to sign it, which was awesome. Just great guys. Even though I just met him for like 5 minutes, but it was awesome. Like, you know, that's all you need to make the fans happy, right? Like, if that was the end of the day, they must have been tired, but they were very excited. And just happy to meet me. So it's that kind of thing that was just really, really cool. I thought, like, to meet your heroes and these comic books that I read, when I was a kid, you know, and they're still doing it. So it's encouraging, right? They're still doing it. Well, Wills is working at, Ubisoft Philippines, I believe. So he's working in games. It's just hard to make money out of comics. And yet I still try. Still a lot of people try. Okay, now I'm just talking too much because I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, let's give this a shot. Can see how messed up it is later. Oh, right. So, okay, so Promotion has this, Promotion. I used to do sprite animation, and the program I used to use was Promotion. So, excuse me. Procreate. Procreate has these settings where you can tell the frame to hold for a certain number of frames. So you don't have to draw all of the frames, and you can do the holds. So when I copied that frame, I copied the holds. So let's turn that off to like 1, whatever. It's a little buggy, so sometimes it won't display. Oh, it's working now though. Of course it is, because I said it's a little buggy. Where it won't display correctly on the timeline, which is this. I call it timeline. I don't know what they call it. Oh, I think that is too much. Put that down to 1. So better. Okay. Okay, so it looks janky, but that's okay. I've found with most of my work, it always looks janky. In the beginning, it's just how less janky you can make it by the end of the work. But it's good. It's something you kind of get used to. Like, you should start off and it's a big mess, and then you kind of put it together. What is going on here, man? Oh, okay. Oh, that's why it looks janky. Right. It's just the missing drawing. Okay, so let's draw that in. So it doesn't look so weird. Anyway, yes, so as I'm getting older, I notice that I'm okay with not being that great. Because that is why I'm drawing. I'm drawing to get better. And I've also found I can't not draw. It does things to my thought processes, and it's just something that I have to do. to keep going. Maybe even more so now, right? I mean, some weird times we're living in. Oops. Okay, so I will pause here and I will put my kids to bed and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. I guess my kids didn't have to go down yet. So I have a few minutes. Let's just finish what I was attempting to do before I interrupted myself. And it's probably a rookie mistake to change camera angles within the same setting. But what can you do? Alright, so let's fill that in. I think that'll make it look better-ish. So now I'll have an intro. So I actually was planning to make this a whole thing. Okay, so a little backstory on this character and why he looks like this. I was doing Inktober for, 4 years. It seemed like a good way to have a little project set for yourself and to make your skills better at inking, yada, yada, yada. So in the beginning, I was just doing fan art. It's pretty horrible too. Like if you look at any of them, and it was fun. It wasn't, I just wanted to get that stuff out there, get better. And have, I guess, like with Inktober, it's almost like a record. You do an ink drawing a day for the month of October. And it was fun. At that point, everybody loved Marvel. And I felt like I had to show my love for DC. So again, right, I'm not going online and doing like weird posts about how much I hate Marvel or anything like that. I don't. But I wanted to be able to show my fan pride. And so I would that was my theme, at least for a little bit. So it'd be DC characters or whatever I thought of doing. And the next year, I think it was mashups. So I mashed up video games and comic book characters. And I love video games as well. Comics, I think, is my first love. And if I had to choose between the two, it would be comics. And yes, I would venture to say drop all the video games and I can never play video games ever again, but don't take my comics away from me or my ability to draw them. But anyway, I love both. And so I did mashups, and I think the first mashup was a Sega DC mashup. So I'm a Sega fan, again, so it's probably another minus points for you guys. Sega fan and DC fan. So I mashed those two up, and it was fun. It's just a fun little experiment. The next year after that, I did a Marvel Nintendo mashup, which was also fun. And after that, after doing Inktober's 3 times at that point, I decided I wanted to do my own stuff, because it's great that I can express my fandom. But I think I just want to create. And so what I did was I set up this project where I would draw comics. But I'm not that fast. So, and it's a lot of work. So I made it so I would draw a panel a day. And I could post a link, put up a link on that on the notes as well, if you want to see. And anyway, this guy came out. So it's an old character that I did, like I said. And his name's Gunman. And this was kind of the style that I drew him in. A little bit more brushy. And a little bit more, I guess, rough. I don't know what the word is. Not as polished as my Bomb Squad stuff. And so now, his helmet comes down. Might be a little too fast, but might be enough. Anyway, long story long. I wanted to take some of those panels and animate them as part of this promo. And it was this whole sequence in that comic where he gets a signal on his signal watch. It's like a giant G because he's Gunman, and it's blinking. He takes a look at it, and then he puts on his helmet, he puts on his boots, and then you see him like, Gunman! And he's like in a cool pose. So this animation, I wanted it to have that. I wanted him to look at his signal watch. I wanted him to put on his helmet and to put on his boots. But I think there, with age, you also start to be better at prioritizing things. So I think in this case, I don't want to do all the other stuff. Now I want to actually jump into other things. And this is enough. I mean, you know, what I have should be enough once I'm done and completed the whole thing. And I can edit it together along with that clip that I showed you earlier. And I think this might be good enough. We'll have it like do a little shake here. So it falls down. And then after this clip, I think I'm just going to put together and post it up, put it on my reel, and be done with it. It should be okay. It showcases the character. It shows him really in a cool light. That's really all I wanted to do, right? So in this case, we are going to do a little stagger or jitter or settle. I know I'm throwing out all these words, but basically, so when the helmet comes down, I want it to kind of like overshoot a little bit and then come back up. So like, you know, nobody ever puts it down like this. That's like a straight up robot. I can't even do it, but like, it's like you have like a little shake at the end, just to give it a little bit more life. So here we're going to put this second to last frame down. Animating at 24 frames per second. So it probably needs to hold just for a few. Let's just take a look at what happens. So I'm just doing all the cheap tricks I can do, so I don't have to draw so many frames all the time. Like in the old school days, because I'm cheating and that's hard. It takes so long. Animation takes so long. Let me duplicate this. Yep. And this guy. So I made it overshoot down. And now I'm going to make it overshoot just a little bit up. It might be too much because we might not like want a crazy jiggle. But let's see what happens, right? I mean, some of the best stuff about animating nowadays, it's the programs that you have are so forgiving. I remember having to used to film animation on these Bolex cameras, and you know what you had when you shot it was what it was. You can't go back in there. Too slow. Oh well, that's kind of cool. Not bad. All right. Meh. It's not horrible. So that's a good thing. Well, maybe if we asked Milt, Kahl, what he thought, he'd probably be like, that's atrocious. So I also cheat a lot. Oh, okay. And sometimes I'll do weird holds, like odd numbered holds. You know, you're animating at 24 frames per second, and I don't know. Sometimes it might be nice if it went into 24 evenly. It doesn't have to, obviously not, right? Because you can do all this stuff. Okay, so now it jiggles a little bit. Except his eyeball jiggles too, but that's okay. Maybe. So what we could do is down, and then, I mean, it's not so bad that his eyeball jiggles, right? Like when you put the helmet on, it's like his head kind of goes down a little bit. Okay. So fill that. So Procreate has this cool, I guess it's paint bucket way of doing it, is you just grab the color and you drag it in there and it fills it up. Kind of handy. I mean, when I was doing black and white pencils for my comic book initially, Bomb Squad, that was a long time ago. It was like almost 10 years plus years ago. I would actually draw everything in pencil and just press down super hard. And then I'd go to Kinko's, which was this photocopy place, and photocopy it dark so I didn't have to ink it. It turned out pretty good. I still like it. It's just insane. So I don't do that anymore. It gave me like serious wrist problems. Okay, there we go. All right, that looks more passable. More passable. Is that a... Does it work that way? Passabler? Okay. Let's clean up some of this stuff, because I know I'm lazy, but some stuff just looks weird to me. Like this. Woot. Alright, just make it straight, yo. It's fuzzy. It's bugging me. Okay. So I'll probably have to edit this later together in Premiere, just to cut the clips together. And I don't know, maybe I can put this on the intro of the show. Okay, so that one's done. Oh, that's right, I wanted to show you guys this. So when I was doing these, happy Father's Day. So this is a clip that'll probably be in the intro as well. This is Bomb Girl. This is the Bomb Squad. Oops. Well, all right, I guess you can see that too. But this is my process when I'm animating. Procreate has this great feature where it kind of records everything you're doing. You can kind of get snippets of this. So this was kind of, now that I think about this, this was kind of insane. I drew this. Why did I do that to myself? I drew the background so it would scroll. This might be the full clip. So, okay, so there's the clip of her running. And like I said, with Procreate, you cannot really control these backgrounds too well. Like, you can't have a background cycle in the back, right? And then have a character on top, like a layer animate. It has to be all in one frame. But if you guys know how to actually do that, please tell me, comment. And then this is how it, that's not really that different. This one is the more rough version, rougher version. It's interesting because I wish I had it, but it didn't look very good in the beginning at all. So I kind of had to figure out how to animate it. Oh, all right. Well, I think I have to take another break. See you guys in a bit. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry, I did that weird, oh, hello, here I am. I'm back. The kids had to go down for the nap, so I didn't want to be in the room next to theirs and wake them up with my boring voice. Or will that put them to sleep? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to keep going with this. And as I was looking at it while I took a little break, sorry for the weird noises, I noticed that I did want to maybe make it so that his eyeballs don't move when this helmet comes down, right? Because the helmet is the one doing the jitter and not his head. I mean, his head does too, but it might look just a teeny bit better if I did that. So what I'm going to do is go back to that layer that I moved, which I think was that one. I guess we can delete some of these things that I don't see anymore. Oh, I wasn't showing that layer. Let's take a look here. I guess that's a little better. Okay, so let's just delete some of these guys. the eyeballs from here. I can turn off the onion skin in Procreate, so I can just go ahead and erase. So, this is all manual stuff. There's no magic happening here. You're just going to see me delete stuff and redraw it again. And I don't know, there's something kind of nice about that. That's just something that I have to do. It's something that my brain is okay with. So I mentioned earlier I was a 2D sprite animator. And if you know your games, or even if you don't, you probably know the days of like Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis and all that. And it's that kind of artwork. It's a lot of the games now are doing retro looks. So it's so what's a good example of that? Swords and Sorcery, a few years back that came out, does it in 2D. What else does pixel art a lot? I just can't think of one right now. There we go. And where was I going with that? 2D pixel art. Oh, so I liked doing it because it was the closest thing to drawing, which is kind of like this, right? Like when you erase something, you just use the erase tool and it's gone. Boop. If you want special effects, you just drew it. You want to change the lighting? Well, you're going to have to draw it. And I loved that directness about it. I work in 3D now, so, there's someone that lights things and there's someone that will create the character for you to animate. There's someone that will make the level, make the effects, right? Because it's a crazy medium, so you need like a lot of people to help you out. Okay, let's see. Excuse me. Along with working in the garage comes allergies. It's alright. It's nice and sunny today. Okay, so let's try. I think it's this. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Or rather, I don't know what I'm doing. That is what I need. Yeah. Anyway, what I was saying was I really liked that medium. I like that medium, pixel art. Alright, so here's one of the benefits, I guess. Even though I'm in the garage right now, I like working in the garage. I can bring this program with me anywhere because it's on my iPad. So my former company was very generous and they actually gave me this iPad, which I used for work while I was still there as part of the severance package, which was kind of nice. These things are kind of expensive, so for the longest time I had a Cintiq and I have a Surface, and it's not quite as good, but it did the job and I still like using them. But the iPad Pro is definitely something else, and the iPencil, or whatever it's called. Okay, this is this. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I just trace this eye in the back. Probably have to do this a few more times. Oops. And I've gotten comfortable with this brush, this Procreate brush, where, you know, I don't mind being sloppy. I don't know if some of my older artwork, I was just very tight with everything, very tight with pencils and finishing things, and I guess I'm still a little tight, but I've gotten looser than then. One of the things was, for sure, my hand got tired. My wrist just got tired, pressing down so hard. And so one of my favorite comic book artists is Frank Robbins. He used to draw The Shadow. Or at least that's when I saw his stuff. I think he's drawn like Batman and I'm blanking out. Steve Canyon, and I think he drew something else. Another one that he's more famous for. But that's actually the first time I saw his work was in The Shadow, and I loved it. As a kid, I really loved it. I loved the way it was written. I think it was Denny O'Neil. Rest in peace. And it was just awesome stuff. And it was so loose, you know, the brushwork was so loose. And I know he's got this lineage from like Noel Sickles and, you know, all those guys. I think Milton Caniff. But I just really loved how loose Frank Robbins was with his stuff. I mean, it was great. It's funny, like all these artists I look up to, and when I look at my stuff, I don't really see it. I wish it was in there, but I don't really see it. Okay, let's see. So now that okay, that might work. Because I did want a little head shake. This is probably not going to matter so much once we see it playing. So it's almost like a overlapping action, or a kind of in secondary movement, but not really. Just something more. Okay, so I think that's not bad. I'm okay with that. So that'll be the first part of the clip. Alright, his helmet comes down. Oh, maybe we can smooth out this helmet drop. Okay, so that is his helmet. And let's dupe it. Right? And then from here, we'll move it up before it drops. So we're kind of going to do a ease. No, what am I talking about? In the beginning, we'll do kind of like an ease in as it drops. But it might be okay if it just drops out of nowhere super fast. So let's dupe that too. Let's go back a frame. And let's move that up. Okay, so now on these frames, I gotta redraw his eyeballs. Or I can just be lazy and duplicate this and merge this down. We'll have to do some fancy erasing. Merge this down to that. Oh, wait, no, wrong one. Merge this guy down to that. Yep. There we go. So now those two frames are on. Let's turn off this onion skin because I'm going to go nuts trying to figure out which is which. And just delete. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, thank you. Okay. So delete that, erase it. Erase it. There we go. And probably having some really bad posture here. So that's another thing. Once you get a little older, you notice that all those years that you were hunched over your desk starts accumulating. This is probably so bad for my neck here. Let me adjust this thing. There we go. I don't know if that's any better, but it's a little taller, higher. So, delete that. Okay. 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 And we'll do the same for this. We'll duplicate another layer that can be behind. Oh, I got a few of these. And then, oh, let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I think we can just merge it down. And hope. Nope, I'm not going to be able to figure that out. Let's just trace it. No big deal. Kind of a mess here. Let me show you some of this. Ooh. Okay. Switch it back. That. Okay. So before, when I first started Bomb Squad, I was very meticulous with the line quality. I mean, I still will have to be, because it has to be that look, but I think I kind of worked that out of my system back then. I still have to do it for the third issue, because that's the style. But I think once I put that to rest, once I finish that arc, I would like to try to do more finished art that's not as tight. And I like them. I like them both. I like both styles, right? But again, as you get a little older, I just want to optimize my drawing style for speed. I want to make more. Right? I don't want to be stuck nitpicking everything anymore. It's how I drew it, and it's how I used to think, but it's actually not who I am. So it's actually a little weird. I mean, I guess you want to control everything, so that's how I was. So my friend who got me to do this, or at least attempt to do this, his name is Shantan Jetty from Shantan Jetty Art, I think is his YouTube channel. He's awesome. We've been friends since college, and I think he was actually one of the first few people that I met. It was in his room. And it was about, how many of us were there? 5 or 6. And he was just so jazzed up about comics, He was just he still is. And he's the most encouraging guy you'll ever meet. We'll have some conversations. We don't talk a lot, but we keep in touch. And anytime I call him, even if it's like for me going, hey man, that was awesome. Like whatever he drew was awesome, or like his project got funded on Indiegogo, and he would always turn it back to me and like say how great I am, or how he's lying, obviously. But it's great, like you need somebody like that in your life, someone who's positive, who's like a great encourager. Encourager, is that a word? Very encouraging. How about that? He genuinely means it. He's not trying to get something out of you. I mean, I don't have anything to give, so. All right. So I think I went too much on that, but that's okay. So I have noticed that I need to stop making strange sounds while I'm on camera so it doesn't sound annoying. Okay, so that's there. And we'll just continue this along. I don't think it's a big deal, because it'll be just for one frame. Yeah, just for one frame. I'm still filling it in. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay. Let's get rid of this guy. And that should be it. Let's see. Oh, the holds. Okay, get rid of those holds, because I duped it. And probably just take it off. It'll be a little faster, but it'll be okay. These are in 2, so it goes fast. Excuse me. Got like a little something in my throat. It's not COVID, don't worry. Okay, so now it comes down. Alright, looks like I moved one of those frames a little funny. And I can see a little line there. Right here. Just color it in. Oops, okay. Shunk. Shunk. Okay, let me see if a blink will help. Because, I mean, he's hardcore, but, he's still got a blink every now and then. I actually have a blink frame here. No, I don't. I was lying. So, just to be cautious, I can duplicate this, get rid of it visually, and then let's delete this eyeball. So, this YouTube channel should be like, things not to do. Like redraw frames over and over when you can actually use technology to help you. Okay, so we'll have them blink. Oops. Let's see how that works. If I don't like it, I can always bring my frame back. Okay. So maybe in the future I'll have a better setup. And I won't be teleporting from room to room. Okay. It's alright. I wonder if I should just shut his eyes for the whole time that helmet is coming down. I mean, it's alright. Oops, what's going on there? That's a selection thing, okay. Let's clean up these seams. Okay. Okay. Alright, so that's good enough. Let's see if we can add another layer to this. I don't know if it'll matter, but like a shadow. Probably not. No one's going to be able to see this. Alright. That'll do. Alright, so we save this out, export the animated MP4. 24 frames per second, max resolution, export. Alright. So I think that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in to Comix Rant. We'll have more things to go. Oh, that's creepy. We'll have more things to do. What am I saying? I'll have more things to do. More in our next episode. Thank you and goodbye.